Hello guys, it's Stephen here. Welcome back to part 13. 13 of 24 videos reviewing every player from the 2018-19 season. Why did I agree to do this? I'm an absolute idiot. I'm already knackered, but I'm going to plow on for tonight, and then for tomorrow, and for the night after that, and then I can just draw a line in the sand, and then do Guardiola and the big end of season review before transfer nonsense for the rest of the summer. Today, though, I want to say thank you as ever to One Football for helping sponsor my channel. They're absolute heroes. Go and download it. It's really good. I promise you. Just if you've not downloaded it yet, why not? It's free. It's mint, and if you do that, it helps keep this channel. And you like this channel, right? Download it right now. Today is the turn of Oleksandr Zinchenko, everyone's favourite crazy Ukrainian bastard, the converted left back. Yeah, it was a good season for Zinchenko, wasn't it? Now, context is important in all these player reviews, because I've said at the very first one and a few more since then, I'm reviewing the players on their own personal expectations. I'm not saying this person did better than this person. I'm basically reviewing them as they are. Because I think it's very important to say that the expectations for Zinchenko are not the same as the expectations for Aguero, which are not the same as the expectations of Phil Foden, and so on and so on. They all have very different standings in the squad, and as a result, their seasons need to be measured with such context in mind. And the context for Zinchenko is this is a guy, basically, who said no to going to a very exciting Wolves team in the summer, newly promoted Wolves, and basically decided to stay and fight for his place at Manchester City Football Club. He's actually an attacking midfielder, as we all know, converted to left back. A guy had no real chance of being a Manchester City player in general, had a few appearances last season, but we wanted to sell him and make a small City Football Group kind of basically profit out of him. But he turned around and he stayed. He decided to stay, and Guardiola was so positive about him when he first got his first appearance, which was, let me have a check, his first appearance was late September versus Oxford in the Carabao Cup. He did very well and wanted another start against Brighton a few days later, but you had to wait till like 25th of September, essentially, to get his first appearance. That is a whole, basically, like 2 months of football. Well, about a month and a half, but he did nothing for all that time. And Guardiola was so impressed with him that he started him again, as I said, against Brighton. Because he'd earned that start. Though he didn't play much after that until November. 2 more games back-to-back, Fulham in the Carabao Cup, the Shakhtar 6-0 home win, and then a couple of appearances in the Premier League aside, he was just essentially the go-to kind of cup guy, the guy who played left back in all the kind of games like, the Burtons and all that kind of stuff, and he was essentially that person until he had something of a breakthrough moment. Now, to the surprise of many and to the surprise of me too, he started in that Chelsea game, the famous one at home when we won 6-0. And he was very good. He was very good against, obviously, a decent Chelsea side. And that was the moment where it seemed to just click for him in general. Now, up until that moment, I think we'd all liked Zinchenko, but we'd never really seen a great defensive performance from him. He looked kind of ill-focused. He couldn't really kind of get to grips with the defensive side of being a left-back, which is understandable in general, given the fact that he was attacking midfielder. He was decent going forward, but he wasn't great defensively. And then that Chelsea game, it was like, something just kind of clicked in his head, and he was very good that day. He got forward, he did very well. Let me find on the list of games here. He got a couple of assists in that game. I think one of them was like a pass to Aguero who fired it in the top corner. But he did good that game. And then he played against Newport after that. And he started starting more important games. And that included, once again, Chelsea, where he got man of the match, according to WhoScored.com. He was excellent that day in the Carabao Cup final. Very, very good. He basically had the likes of Eden Hazard running at him. Yet he did absolutely brilliantly. A guy who couldn't defend much was once again fantastic the week after in a 1-0 victory at West Ham. And then he played against Bournemouth, Watford, Schalke. And essentially, given the injuries of Mendy and given Delph's kind of fitness and injuries as well, he became our first choice left back. And that was a massive, massive accomplishment for a lad. Basically, he was starting to show what you could achieve with just determination and self-belief. I made a video mid-season, I put a link to it on screen somewhere now, where basically I said, I wish everyone was like Zinchenko, because he's this little guy, essentially, who lives life to the fullest, has loads of self-belief, and shows exactly what you can do with the right attitude and the right mindset. And he basically became a reliable squad member. It spoke volumes that we were a little bit gutted when he got an injury around April. How many games did he miss? Only a few, I think. But essentially, we did notice his absence until he got back in the team. And then he was basically there until the end, against United, against Spurs, against Burnley, Leicester, Brighton again, then obviously in the FA Cup final. He was involved in all those games, and he was a big part of that as well. And he earned that. Now, obviously, He probably will stay around next season. He definitely will stay. I think Guardiola loves his attitude. He's very popular amongst the players. He's earned another chance. He's obviously shown that he can improve and he can learn. And I like the idea of Zinchenko being around the squad, mainly because he sends a message to all these City Football Group players. These players are bought to be loaned out, because he was loaned out obviously to PSV, and then he kind of hung around because he couldn't get a loan move. But he showed that there is a potential path there if you have the right attitude, if you have the patience, if you as a young lad can essentially trust in your own ability and impress the manager and take your chances when you get them, you'll become someone that the club value. And he's shown that. And I love that in a squad full of world superstars. You've got this £1.5 million random Ukrainian signing who somehow forced his way into the team. A little bit of luck, of course, with the injuries, but he's definitely earned that look through his attitude and his desire. In terms of the score, and I've made a big thing about context here, I'm not saying he's better than anyone else who gets his score, essentially. I did initially put him down for a 7 because he didn't play much at the start of the season, but I'm now in my head, I think I've talked my way into a 7.5 for him. It wasn't like an 8 out of 10 season for him. It was a 7.5, which is still a good season. He obviously didn't play that great in his early games, if we're being honest, and we forgot that he didn't really play much of the front half of the season. But it was that like last 10 appearances that he made where he put in a really good, solid, essentially addition to the squad. He had a good second half of the season, which kind of really cemented his place at Manchester City Football Club. It wasn't an 8 out of 10 season for him. For 8 out of 10, you've got to be, for him now, he wants to have that for next year. An 8 out of 10 is what I expect from Zinchenko next season. He has to have somewhere to improve, and there's loads of places to improve. But for Zinchenko, he's a different story to most, and he's had a year to be proud of. The fact that him and all the people are still getting 7.5 and a regular Manchester City squad says it all. He's become this reliable, good member of the team, and that in itself is an accomplishment. Guys, let me know what you think of Oleksandr Zinchenko. Tell me why he's absolutely brilliant. We all know that. Next up on these videos is another brilliant player, Fernandinho, a world-class player. I love him loads. Plot spoiler, he gets a good high score there. Guys, make sure you subscribe if you're new to it. Thank you to all these guys down the side of the screen. These are my Patreons to keep this channel going. I hope you're enjoying this series. Only, I don't know how many left. 9 left after this? Or something like that. Probably more, actually. 12, 11. Who knows? My maths has gone to pot. Enjoy the rest of them. In a bit.